Hey everybody, Jim Malone here, coming to you live on Dallas Trading Floor. It is a Tuesday, January 19th, and kind of interesting. Seems like the markets have recovered a little bit, and so we seem to be moving higher. I did buy a little bit of GBDC today, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. And so that's looking pretty good. It's backed off a little bit, but we'll see what happens there. So without further ado, kind of let's get into the slides. The market direction is we're still in an upward trend. We definitely recovered a little bit on the S&P 500 and on the Dow Jones, so that's looking pretty good. The volume is down a little bit. We seem to still be a little bit sluggish. Janet Yellen, who is going to be the incoming Fed chairman, is basically saying that, there's probably going to be another round of stimulus. So that might bear well. We are seeing some sector rotation, though, out of some of the semiconductors and some of those stocks, some of the software stocks like Microsoft, stuff like that, into an area that I want to talk about today, and that's the automotive area. It's number 2 on the sector list, and it's been in the top really for the last few months. So we see a very interesting kind of rotation. Some of the funds are moving into it, and of course, most of this is due to Tesla, which does have a new model coming out. Basically, the first Model Ys are going to start shipping are basically going to start shipping it from China, and that's going to be a big deal. So we're going to see how that rolls out. But just kind of wanted to show you, Tesla's up a little bit today. I just want to kind of show you the chart on it. Basically they're delivering about just about 500,000 vehicles worldwide in 2020, and they're aimed to build about 20 million annually over the next decade. So they're going to be ramping up for that. But we definitely recovered a little bit. Seems like we're moving right up that 10-day line. So that seems to be kind of where it's at. Now I am probably going to be trying to acquire more Tesla when it moves above about 850. So I'm looking to do a buy stop limit order, at that price, to give to possibly add to my already positions in Tesla. But I do think it probably is going to be moving higher. Now, an interesting thing happened today. We had an interesting thing with General Motors, and this is another one of the stocks that I want to cover. Microsoft basically has said that they're going to invest in General Motors' autonomous driving unit, which is very interesting. I do have a position in General Motors that I did buy sort of at the pivot. It's up significantly today, about $4. It's almost 9% up today, and the volume has been increasing, and that's kind of a key thing. So, kind of an interesting thing. Can you buy it at this level? Well, no, it's probably too far extended. Let's see if it settles down a little bit before you can get into it. I know it's kind of strange that I'm touting these stocks that are are in the automotive sector. I never thought I would do that because I've really cut my teeth on the tech sector and that, but it just the automotive group seems to be just performing really well. And I kind of want to give you a rundown of that. I don't know if you can see this. It's kind of a little bit tight on that, but of course the number one in there is in terms of performance in the last few months. Tesla's been in there. Li Auto, of course. NIO. I'm in neither of those right now. Fiat Chrysler, interestingly enough, has done well, which I would have never thought. But it seems as if, and this is key, GM, as you can see, has had a huge amount of volume increase, and it's up $4. So I do think that this one, we're starting to see some interest institutionally, anyways, in General Motors, and also from some of the tech companies such as Microsoft. Very interesting to me. I also have highlighted Ford here. It's very cheap at $10. I don't know. It's still a little bit too early to buy this one, but I think you should watch this one forward. Now, I mean, normally I would not, I'd not be so interested in stocks like that. To be honest with you, just isn't my thing. But that seems to be the way it's it's moving. It's moving. So I also wanted to kind of talk about a stock that is on my watch list. I haven't bought it yet. It is actually in the top of the buy range, and it's Medifast, symbol MED. It's currently at 220. It's up $11.62, or about it's almost 6%. So very interesting stock. It's right at It's right at the top of the buy range. The pivot on it being, of course, 208.57. So very interesting in terms of that as well. For last but not least, let's take a look at my current holdings. Just want to kind of give you an idea of what I'm holding now, and sort of how that's stacking up. So let me just go down the list here. Of course, I'm in Blink Charging. It's down a little bit. I do have a 50 call option that expires on the 29th of January. So it looks like I'm going to be keeping the stock. It's I've been in it for a while. It has doubled since I've owned it. Pretty good. I don't know what's going to happen with it, but I'm probably going to still hang in there on that with it. Another stock that I've done quite well on, and it seems to just keep on going up, is Progeny, PGNY, Progeny. And of course, as we all know, Tesla's up today at 837.66. Now, there's a key level on Tesla that I want to talk to you about, and I believe that's about 850. I think if it moves above 850 and holds that, it's likely to go higher, maybe as high as 900, 950. I'm going to be buying if it moves beyond 850 at about 851. So that's kind of where I want to be looking at buying. I've also done extremely well on this one, TXG, 10X Genomics. It's up again today, not as much as it has been, but it keeps on moving up. Amazon has reversed its trend. It's up. Now, I have a interesting, and I put out a chart school on this one. I have an interesting play on this one. I have a bull put. A put spread on this one, vertical spread, and it's up today as well. So this might pretend this is, I think, basically due to the fact this has been pulling back. I think Amazon now is going to be moving higher on the hopes of a stimulus from Janet Yellen, and I think that's going to definitely happen. I also bought some Bitcoin today through the GBTC. This is how I like to handle Bitcoin. You can buy it directly, of course, but I like the GBTC because it's much more fungible. And one of the added advantages, because I have this in a margin account, I can use this for margin as well. So it's at 39.54. And as I was talking again about GM, GM seems to, it seems to be moving higher. So don't know what's going to go on with GM, but it seems to be moving, quite nicely. So, what can we say? I mean, that it looks as if that might be the case with, with GM. So let's get to the questions. We just go over here to some of the questions, and thanks for waiting. I'm going to look at people initially from YouTube. Thanks, Gunnar. Gunnar, how do you manage risk into the inauguration? Good question. Here's what I do. I basically push my stop losses up, look to see kind of where the low of the prior day is, and then that's what I do, is I push up my stop losses. I have pretty much everything stop lossed out, and that's how I manage my risk. I don't leave it to chance. Never try to take any more than a 7% loss on anything. So as the stocks move up, if they do, then I'm definitely looking to do something with them. So let's go to TikTok. Yeah, GM. This is interesting. This is from Pappy Champlain. It's GM is a great stock now that they partnered with Microsoft. I do agree with that, actually. Here's the thing about GM. I mean, I never thought I would ever recommend General Motors. I just didn't think it would. I just didn't think I would do it. It's an old company, But they did go bankrupt in 2013, and they got rid of a lot of their debt. And now, with the partnership with Microsoft, I think that self-driving cars are going to happen. And believe it or not, they're a leader in electric vehicles. Go figure. I mean, and the thing about GM is that they can produce a lot of vehicles. They're good at that. The question of quality, well, I think it's getting better. I mean, I definitely have a GM. I mean, I have a GM truck, and I think I'm very happy with it. But I normally drive a Honda, to be honest with you, for day to day. But yeah, it might be an interesting thing. So, it's just the kind of thing where it's interesting to me, because I do think that there's a lot of people this next year that will be replacing vehicles, and if they can maintain some of their market share, which I don't know if they can, it's not easy. Maybe there's something there. So let's take a look at the chart for for General Motors, just to see kind of thing. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit on the chart here. Let's see if I can zoom in just a tad. There we go. All right, so hopefully that will let me see a little bit more of what's going on there. Okay, so let's see if there we go. So here we are, basically with the chart. This was the buy point here on a cup. On a cup, basically the pivot, being right about $40. So let me get that correct there. Oh, let's see if I can. Yeah, all right. No, it doesn't quite want to give me that. But anyways, there we go. So I'm going to put that right on there. Yeah, I mean, basically the is right about $40. I was starting to buy it here. It's moved up from there. So it seems like it's it's one of those things where I would have never expected it, but there it is. So go figure. There we go. Sizing the window here a little bit here. Okay, great. Let's do that. All right. Yeah, there we go. Give you the correct pivot on that one. Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. Okay, so hopefully that'll give me the right pivot. Well, anyways, so that's that's kind of the pivot there. Oh, there we go. There's the pivot. The pivot on is 46.71. It's currently 54. Now, will it continue on from here? I do believe it might, because we have these trend lines here. So at least for right now, it seems as if we're in this trend line. So potentially, we could be in the $50-$60 range, by next year. So we'll see what happens. I'm just playing it. I'm just playing it day by day right now. Totally doing it that way. So, oh, wait a minute. Let's see if I can get rid of that. Well, I ended up opening the wrong window. Okay, so how do you manage your stop loss on GM for today? Here's what I do, Gunnar. I just basically move it up, and what I do, and I'll just show you this. What I do is I go to the 60-minute chart typically, and I look to see kind of where the consolidation is. Currently, as you can see, there was a very large there was a very large buying here. As you can see, the people have been buying at this level. I'm setting my stop loss pretty tight right now, right about 52 or so. That's because it's pulled above that. Now this may be a little bit too tight. What I do typically is I move my stop loss up until I get to a point where I'm at break even, and then when I'm at break even, then I move it more slowly. But I like to continuously move up the stop loss to basically the low of the prior day. And the reason I do that is so that when we do have a pullback, and you can see, I'm looking really to put my stop loss right about here, which is the low. So I'm right at about 52. As you can see, that's where the breakout was. So that way I assure that I keep that that I keep that upward momentum. So that's how I do it. That's sort of how I do it. All right. Any thoughts on SWBI? Let's look at SWBI real quick. SWBI. And see how we're doing. Oh, Smith & Wesson. Okay. Well, every time that there's an administration change, it seems like Smith & Wesson gets a lot of love, but it's pulled back today. It's only down 39 cents, all about 1.84, so not a whole lot. Let's kind of look. It's still really strong at 92 relative strength. That is very strong. Anything above 80 is looking pretty good. Let's just kind of look to see what the checklist is. The checklist is excellent. Look at that, 8 out of 9. So that's very good. And the funds are good. Now let's look. Now this is the sector that I said. As you can see, the industry sector, there's 197 of them. This is in the 76th best, which is the security sector of the economy. So there's 31 sector. There's 31's. 31 in that. It's the new highs are 2. So basically, this is where the guns are in the sector. This is quite a good sector. I typically like to stick to sectors that are at least in the top third of all the sectors. Why do I do that? Well, that means that the funds are moving into that area. That's the reason I'm so fascinated with automotive right now. It's because it's the number 2 sector, and it's been the number 1 sector. So it's the other sector that I'm going to start really focusing in on probably is the aerospace defense sector, because they seem to be in the rotation. One of the ways that you can make money in the stock market is to look to see which sectors are getting the rotation, where the capital is moving, and that's one of the best ways. So my thoughts on Smith & Wesson, I like it, but it's below the buy point. So I'm really not interested unless this thing moves above about 2240. So I'm really not going to buy it probably until it's at least 2240, because that is the pivot on it. So let me see if I can get thoughts on Bitcoin investing, rising to $1 million in 5 years. Here's the thing about it. Here's the thing about Bitcoin. I'm invested in Bitcoin. I will be totally upfront with you through the GBTC. But the thing about Bitcoin is getting bigger, and it probably will get bigger as time goes on. But one thing you got to realize is that there's a little bit of a blow off top going on here. I want to kind of show you GBTC chart and kind of analyze it a little bit. There we go. Yeah, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. There we go. So here's the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. And the reason I use this as a proxy for Bitcoin is because this is very fungible. Now, as you can see, it's pulled back again. I mean, it's pulled back today. So what happened was today, and I bought it today. It pulled up and it went right to this right to the 10-day line, and then it pulled back. So the question is, it seems like it's trying to find balance. There have been a fair amount of selling going on. So, I might have timed this one wrong, but I do believe that the overall trend of Bitcoin is significantly good. So, I mean, it is moving higher, as you can see. So this is sort of the trend line that I'm seeing. I think it might pull back down to the 21-day line before it reverses, but it's still very strong, 98 relative strength, and the trend line here is above this line here. So that's still very, very bullish for Bitcoin. Let's take a look to see kind of, what the ownership looks like. Now, the only people that are going to be in this are going to be the funds of funds. So this is not really indicative, but the trend, at least in the last few days, has been up. So I am, I'm fairly bullish on Bitcoin right now. What will happen later? Well, I'm just going to keep pushing up my stop losses, and then eventually I'll get to the point where it pulls back, and then I won't, and then I'll be out of it. All right. So next question here. Okay, that was Smith & Wesson. Hi, Jim. What are your thoughts on CTLT? Picked up initial position at 117.50 and planning to double down on at. Okay, yeah, good deal. Let's take a look at that chart really quick. It is symbol CTLT. Just taking a quick look here. Yeah, provides delivery technology and development solutions for clinical and services to marketers. Don't quite know what they do, but let's look at the chart anyways. And yeah, definitely good. Yeah, this is a blue dot special. There has been some selling, and it does look like it is gapped up to the. Yeah, I would say that's a very good move, by the way, Byron. Very, very good move. As it moved, as it moved up, yeah, I definitely think, yeah, you're definitely going to come in. That is the correct place to buy it too, by the way. The double down, and that makes sense at 120.58. By the way, everybody, what Byron is doing here, this is a very good way to buy. He bought a pilot position right before, as it was coming up close to, off the cup formation, and then as it's moving through the buy point, he's buying above that at 10 cents above that. That's a perfect place to buy it. And I think this is looking very, very good. It's also got a blue dot, so that means it's really in play. Got a 100% checklist. Wow. You know what? I missed this one. This is fantastic. So I think that you are definitely onto something. CTLT. So let's kind of look at the various things here. The ownership is excellent. Look at that fund, 65%. That's very good. A little bit low in terms of the industry rank at 109, but medical research, it's still within, the top 60% of the sectors. So that's good. The checklist is just stellar. And of course, this is a very good time to buy it relative to this chart. There is a little bit of a fake out here with this 120. You're going to have to be careful. What you're going to have to see is when it moves through this 120.48, you want to check the volume because you want to make sure that there's indeed enough volume. But I definitely think that's good. Here's the thing about buying at Byron, about buying at 120.58. See to make sure that there is that there's a volume spike. It does look good because this is the kind of thing you want to see. You want to see as it's approaching the buy point. What you want to see is decreasing volume, and then right when it hits that pivot, that's when you want to see the big spike like that. Of course, that will be blue. So that's looking very good. But make sure that if you do buy it at that 120.58, that there's decreasing volume, and then it moves to the higher volume. But I think you've got a winner there, and I think that's a good plan. That's a very good plan. That's a very good plan. All right. Okay. Quick question. In the past, what has been your experience with market trends following inauguration? Wow. You know what? I haven't. That's a good question. Typically, I do think that we are going to get higher taxation this go round. So initially, there's not a lot. One thing I do suspect is going to happen based on my. Typically, when there are changeovers in the administration, the defense sector does well because everybody is sort of on pins and needles. Are we going to get into another war? That's proving to be the case here. The defense stock sector has been moving up because they don't quite know what's going to happen with the foreign policy. Now, interestingly enough, Trump tended to be a isolationist and not one that was involved with foreign wars, but because the defense establishment, the existing establishment is taking over, I do expect that we're going to see some interest in the aerospace and defense area because I do think we will be. And I mean, I'm not getting political here, but it's just this has been the history. If the neocons come back into power, and that's really who's fighting to get back into power, we will be involved in conflicts because they do like to have their pies, their fingers in a lot of pies, and I'm afraid that may happen. So I do suspect we're going to see some increase in the defense sector, and I do think we finally may see some recovery in the finance sector because I do think that interest rates are going to go up. So that's sort of my take on that. But nothing is really. Nothing's really set in stone. Hey, great. Thanks, Ollie. My thoughts on GM and Run. Let's take a look at Run first. Run. Let's see. Run. Okay, Sunrun. Wow, look at that. Okay, it's pulled back a little bit, but it's got a very nice pattern. So let's kind of look at it. Yeah, we definitely have a little bit of a pullback here. A little bit of a pullback, basically to below the 10-day line. There was a pivot point, cup with handle, first stage, 74.14. So we're a little bit above that. This is actually looking quite good. Now, sometimes when you have cups like this, they form the handle above. They form the handle above the neckline, and the neckline would be about 82. So this is actually a very bullish chart, and it looks like it's turning here. So we may have a situation. This may be very, very good. This sector has been on fire. This sector is number one. So this is definitely something that might really be good. And I thank you for identifying it. I'm going to put this on the watch list because this sector has been very strong, and it's definitely acceptable checklist at 7 out of 9. So that's looking excellent. Everything I can say on this is really good. Here's what I would do on this one. I think what I would do on this one is I would set a buy stop limit order, and let me kind of just put that out there for everybody so they can see this. And by the way, if you're looking on TikTok, if you go up to my profile, hit the link, you can jump right over to the YouTube where you can actually see kind of what what I'm putting in there in terms of in terms of some of the charts and some of the other stuff. So I believe that we could do a buy stop limit on run RUN at I'm thinking basically we want to do it at the 10-day line there, which which basically is right about 87.33. So at 87.43, that's kind of where I think that you might want to do a buy stop limit order. So that's kind of what I'm looking at in terms of a place to be. And where I'm looking at is right here, right on the let me see if I can get that to give me a line. Yeah, there we go. Right there, right at that pink line. It's got a 98 relative strength. This is excellent, by the way. Thank you, Ollie, for this. This is a good one. I'm going to watch this. I'm going to probably put myself. I'm probably going to do a buy stop limit order at 87.43. Currently, it's at 85.63. It's up. Let's see if it moves up again tomorrow. I think you might have a very, very good winner. The reason is because this is a cup, and if we go to the weekly chart and see if that's the truth. Yeah. So we definitely have we have a cup here. This is the buy. This is the cup. The buy point is 82.42, but we're a little bit and we're a little bit out of the proper buy range, but this is a pullback. This is essentially a modified cup with handle, even though it doesn't show it on the on the pattern rec. So if this thing reverses tomorrow, I think it's a great buy at above 87.43. And I'm going to probably put it on there as well for myself as a buy stop limit. Great. Thank you so much, Ali. Now let's take a quick look again at GM. GM is not quite as exciting as Run in terms of its chart. It's a little bit more dowdy. And again, I haven't been in many of these big industrials for a long time, so it's sort of back to the future for me. But let's look at the daily chart, and we can find something. Here's the problem right now with the chart on GM, the way I see it, is that we're a little bit far extended. The ideal place would have been to buy, obviously, at the at the pivot, and I did buy some at the pivot myself. That was the ideal place. It's pulled a little bit too high, though. I kind of want to wait for another consolidation. I do think you could buy it here, but because this is a little bit more slow moving. But what I'm seeing in GM is I'm seeing a lot of buying activity. As you can see, I'm seeing lots of volume spikes. So notice how the volume moves down, and then it reverses upwards, and that was the reversal here. See, so that's what happens is when it creeps up, then we run out of the weak hands. You can see decreasing volume, and then when the weekends are out, that's when it spikes, as you can see. So I do think that this is going higher. Could you buy it at this level? We are pretty far extended. So if you did buy at this level, and I don't really recommend it because we are a little bit extended, I would set my stop loss very tight at about 2.5% down. But this is a great question. So in terms of looking at both of these, I think that there's a better opportunity currently if you're not already in it on Run. And again, on Run, the buy stop limit order where I would put it anyways, and I may be putting it there, is basically let's get that up here again. Yeah, at 87.43 for Run. That's where I would set the buy stop limit order. But thank you for that question. Great question. Yeah, I mean, they're both looking pretty good. I think Run is going to give you a little bit better opportunity right now just because GM is extended. All right, let's look at NIU. Thanks so much, Matt, for that question. Let's look at NIU. Okay, this is a Chinese-based company, and it manufactures smart scooters. Don't know much about this sector, but I do like all things electric vehicle, and right now I think that there's just a worldwide movement into it, so it's very exciting. It has just pulled up really nicely, up $6.42. Why is that happening? I don't know, but the last cup formation on the stage 3 was at 37.44. That was the pivot, so it's way above that. It's kind of extended. Why is it buying? What is happening? I don't know why this is happening, but there's definitely a spike in buying. Let's take a look at the checklist. It's got 8 out of 9. That's excellent. The ownership, it's not. Wow. Okay. So funds are moving in. It's got 100 funds. That's very interesting. And again, the sector. This is a leisure product. So I don't know if this is really truly properly formatted here, but it's 88 out of 197. So that is good, but it's not necessarily great. I just do not know why this is doing so well. So let's see. Earnings disappoint. Well, this is just interesting. Okay. So I'm looking, why would this one be going up? I have no idea. To be honest with you, I have no idea why this one would be going up because the earnings are disappointing. So I cannot tell you on this one, Matt. So I cannot tell you, but it definitely has a very strong, somebody's buying somebody. Who knows? I can't give you a straight answer on this one based on the chart. So it seems odd that it would be moving up like that. But then what do I know? What do you think about? And this is a question from TikTok. Thanks so much for watching me on TikTok. What do you think of a PUBG, the IPO in that? So let's look at that. PUBG. No, PUBG. I'm sorry, BG. There we go. Okay, PUBG. Did I get that right? PUBG. Okay, well, I don't seem to show it as a valid symbol yet. So maybe it is an IPO that I just don't have, but I can't seem to find out what the situation is for that. What's the next buying point for Cohen? Another one that I really like. This is an investment bank, and it has some very good. I think it has some very good fundamentals. This is one I do have on my watch list for the small portfolio. This is Cohen. It's pulled back a bit today, so can't really say where the best next buy point is. Let's take a look, see if I could find. This doesn't really have the last true buy point on the first stage consolidation was at 19. It's currently 29.48. It's pretty extended. So let's see if there's just any entry point on this one. Here's the thing. It looks as if it's met at some resistance at 30. It looks like there's resistance at 30, as you can see. It kind of went to this level, and then it could not go any further. So here's the thing. Let's wait until it pulls back to the 21-day line, and that's right here. So that's about 27.30. Here's the thing. I don't think there's really a good buy point on this one now. I think the best thing to do, Alex, on this one is to wait. I thought that I thought it would be able to move above 30 easily. That did not happen. It pulled above it, and then it found some resistance. So the next real buy point on this, if you could call it that, the point of resistance is about, and let's see if I can get about 31. So in order to buy this, you'd probably have to buy this at about above 31.40 or 31.30, right about there, if you were to buy it. It has a very good RS rating. There's a lot of good things going for this, but I do think we're in a sort of a consolidation. It's got a 100% checklist, and the ownership is stellar. 323 funds are in it. Let's look at the sector. It's 67, so that's excellent. That out of 197, that's definitely in the top 2/3. You want to make sure that they're in the top 2/3, so it definitely meets that criteria. Here's the thing: it looks as if there is some resistance right at about this level here. We want to move convincingly above that. It did attempt to break out, as you can see, but unfortunately, there was right after the breakout there was some selling. So what you typically want to see is the volume go like this right before the breakout, and then on the day of breakout it moves up strongly. So on this one, unfortunately, I don't think I have a good buy point for you on this one. I was looking at a buy point of about 31 on this, and it went to 31 and it met the resistance, and it just didn't happen. So that's one of the things you've got to look at the buy point, and then you've got to look at buying about 10 cents above the buy point, because that means that it has enough power to pull through that buy point. So that's kind of that, at least for right now. I think we have to watch this Cohen and wait for it to pull above about 31.50. Okay, thoughts on KN? Let's look at KN here to see. KN. Okay, Knowles Corporation manufactures microacoustics and other consumer electronics products for specialized electronic components. It's $19. Interesting company. I'm not familiar with this company, to be honest. I am not familiar with this. So let's look at it. Well, it has a very low relative strength, unfortunately, of 38. So that is not looking good. But there was a volume spike. So there seems to be somebody buying in here. The question is who, and the question is why. The checklist is not good. I'll be honest with you. For KN, the checklist on this one is not very, very good. It's only a 55 checklist on this. We want a higher checklist than this. In terms of the fund ownership, we have 364, which is good. That's increasing. So that's good. And the sector is 78, so it's acceptable. Here's the thing. I don't think unfortunately, this is a good enough stock. You might even want to watch this one, but I don't think you want to be involved with this one. I just don't think it's strong enough. Well, so KN, I would not consider that one. Now, let's take a look at HWM. HWM. All right, let's look at HWM there. Okay, okay. Now we're talking. The aerospace group should, in the next few months, do fairly well. Now it's pulled back to the 21-day line, and this is a engineered metals are probably for aerospace and transportation globally. Okay, good. We're close into the earnings at 15 days, but let's look at the checklist. Okay, it's got the minimum checklist, which is 66 for me. The ownership is good. We have 1,080 funds in this, so that's very strong. Let's look at the industry group. This is a specialty alloys steel group, kind of a basic materials group, and this is going to see some sector rotation. 41 is the group. So can we buy this one? Is this one good enough? 85 with a declining RS rating. You know what? Here's the thing. It does look like it's staging a nice movement here, and it is almost at its high, so that's good. I think we still have to watch this one, see if it moves above 30. It might be a buy above 30, but I would not buy this one. 85 on the relative strength. So that's kind of my take on HWM, or Howmet Aerospace. I think that, even though it says aerospace, they're really in the materials industry. So the aerospace sector is doing well, but the aerospace and defense, but this is sort of a subcontractor of that. So I can't really get as excited. It just doesn't look as good on the setup. Let's look at Netflix. Thanks, Harold. No, thanks, Arnold. Sorry, I said that. Netflix is going to be reporting NFLX. I haven't owned Netflix since the summer. It's sort of been kind of, we're going to see how it does. I mean, it's basically reporting, it's basically reporting tonight. So, you definitely don't want to buy this one before tonight. Now, the question is what's going to happen. The relative strength on this is wretched. It's only 35, which is amazing, because back in here in this little motion, it was much higher than that. It was like in the 90s. So be careful on this one. It does seem like it has some good sales. Lots of funds are in it. Is it viable at this level? You know what? The checklist is 66. That's my minimum. The ownership is still pretty excellent, 2879 funds, and the industry and sector is 9. So the sector is super. I just don't think that this one, I think the FAANGs in general have not been doing as well, as some of the other sectors. I kind of want to review all the FAANG stocks. So let's start with Facebook. Let's just look at the FAANGs to see. And this is why I believe that there's a sector rotation going on. So let's look at Facebook first, because that's the first letter F of FAANG, obviously, and it is a 31. That's wretched. That's very bad. Do you know that Facebook has lost, I believe, several million? I mean, I think it's $50 million worth of valuation since they came out with the censorship on Trump. So it's not looking as good for them. So that's the F of Facebook is the F of the FAANG. So let's look at at Alphabet or Google. GOG is the symbol for Alphabet. Let's get yeah, there we go. GOG. And this one, you would think that it would have a better relative strength. It's only 47. It's up today tremendously, $64. So this is definitely, Alphabet is definitely in better shape than Facebook is right now. Yeah, but it's still below its flat base buy point of 1847.20. So that one is the A of Facebook. I mean of FAANG. And let's look at Apple, AAPL. And I was in Apple, but I got checking out. So let's look at Apple. Apple is doing better out of these three: Facebook, Google, and Apple. Apple is still doing better, but it's still just kind of hanging out right on the 21-day line, like it's been, at 127.83. Now, this one just has sort of been a disappointment since it's since the 4-for-1 split. It got back to there. It got back. But ever since it just can't push beyond this 140 level. So so Apple is not good. So FAA, and then N, of course, is Netflix. We look at that didn't have very good relative strength, and so let's see. And then of course we have Amazon. I think Amazon of all of them is doing the best. Let's see. AMZN is the symbol for Amazon. Did I get that right? Yeah. AMZN. There we go. Okay, Amazon. And that's off too. All right. So you can see there's a relative strength of 47, which is not as good as it used to be. Checklist is 77, so that's still acceptable. The ownership is tremendous, 5874 number of funds. And it's still in the 70th rank. So, but here's the thing. This is what's happening in the market. There is a sector rotation, and it's rotation out of the big cap techs. And that's really represented by the QQQ, which is the NASDAQ 100. Now, the NASDAQ 100 is up today, so it's not all of them that are in there, but it is up today. But still, the relative strength is only 57. So here's my thinking on this. Really, what's been happening is there has been a movement in from the mega cap stocks into the small cap, the Russell 2000 type of stocks, and certain sectors like aerospace and automotive, at least for right now. So that's why I can't really recommend to you. I can't really get behind Apple or even or Netflix right now. They just don't seem to be that strong. They'll be back, but for right now, it seems as if they are being disinvested. So there you go. Thanks, Mr. Singh. Thoughts on Run? Oh, I talked a little bit at Run. I think Run is excellent. I think you want to do for Run. I really like Run. Run is in the number one sector. Okay, it's in the number one sector right now, and you can definitely, with a buy stop limit order, I think that it's ready to go. So I think I've covered that one a little bit. Let's look at Palantir. PLTR is the symbol for that. PLTR is Palantir, and Palantir is kind of hanging out right at that 25 level. I got shaken out of it, but it's it just seems like hanging in there. So I can't count it out. It's quite powerful for an IPO. Let's look at the weekly chart. Yeah, okay. So we seem to have sort of a formation happening here, as you can see, kind of like this. And the reason I do this is that means that something is going to start happening here. It looks like there may be a breakout. 96 is the relative strength. The checklist is gone. It's still okay. 66. That's not bad. Ownership, we are definitely increasing in terms of funds. 104 funds, so that's looking good. The industry sector, a little bit weak. You can see how far the computer software enterprise has fallen. Currently the rank is 123. During the summer, this was like number within the top 10. That's no longer the case. The main sectors right now are defense, aerospace, and automotive, and also mining, believe it or not. So that's the reason why I'm trying to favor more things in that sector, because that is, but right now with Palantir, I think, I've gotten shaken out of it twice. I do think it's viable, but I really think you have to wait until it moves above about 34. So that's sort of my take on Palantir. All right, let's look at people that have been holding on for TikTok. Thank you very much. Let's see. Do you think Amazon could go September? You know what? Here's the thing about Amazon. I do think Amazon is recovering a little bit in price, but I think that it's sort of in a kind of a consolidation phase. I mean, I do have a play on Amazon currently. I have a put spread on Amazon, but I am not in the stock itself. I'm just in the options. AMZN. Let's take a look at that one. I think it is, though, the best of the it's sort of the best of the internet retail. I don't think this is going to go away. It's up $16 today, $16.50, which is significant, but it's still very much in a consolidation range. So the relative strength is 47, and everything else on it looks, it looks good. I mean, the checklist is 77. Am I interested in owning the underlying stock? Well, no, not right now. I'm just in a put spread basically on it. So that's sort of my take on that. All right, let's look. Thanks, James. Appreciate it. Let's look at ZUO. Let's look at that. Let's see, ZUO. And that is Zara. Okay, it's another software company. Don't like the looks that much of the chart. The weekly chart does have a downward trend, which I am not liking, but we do have a cup basis. It's at relative strength of 43, so that's not terrifically strong. 1372 on the price range. It's got a 55 checklist. You know what? Here's the thing. I just don't think this one's strong enough James. I don't think I don't think this one's strong enough, and I think you want to probably steer clear of it. It's definitely could be a watch list, but I think there's been a lot of weakening in the software enterprise area, and it's been sort of weakening. So, we have to be a little bit concerned about that. So I think that I would not, if I was not in this one, I don't think I would get into it. I might watch this, but probably would not buy this one based on what I'm seeing. Okay, cannabis ETF. By the way, there's another one in this one, James, called MJ, which is a mutual fund. This one is up a little bit. Here's the thing about cannabis. I just want to check. Let's look at the ETF MJ. Let's see what it's doing. I was in this one about 3 years ago. Yeah, it started to come up. I think this is your better bet here. It's stronger if you want to be in the cannabis space, and this one does have some significant buying. Now this is an ETF, so trend lines are a little bit different with an ETF as opposed to an individual stock. This one has 82 as opposed to THCX. Let's see that. THCX. Compare it. Yeah, so they're kind of similar. Definitely similar patterns, similar strength. This one is a little bit smaller. Checklist is 55. Let's look at MJ. 82, about the same. Checklist is stronger. So if you wanted to be in an ATF, I think that one, MJ might be a better bet for you on that one. So very good. Thank you for that question. Let's see. Let me see here. Let's take another question from TikTok. All right. GM is a great stock. They partner. Yeah, they absolutely. I think so, actually. Thoughts on Bitcoin? It's hard to say for 5 years. 5 years is a long time in the stock market. So I do think that Bitcoin is going to become more important, though. Let's look at TSM. Thanks, Arnold. This is also a really good stock, by the way. This is Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing. And by the way, there has been a lot of capital spending going on in this sector as well. This company makes chips for just about everybody. And I remember when I was in Silicon Valley, this was the big one. It's got a relative strength of 90, and it's at 131.30. It's up. Wow, it's up $6 today, 4%. That is looking very good. That's for the week. Excuse me. Let's look at the daily chart. Still very impressive. Up quite significantly today. So there seems to be a lot of buying going on this one. Wow, it's 100% checklist. You can't beat that. Let's look at the ownership. Oh, excellent ownership. Let's look at the sector. Good sector. This one definitely, unfortunately, the last buy point on this one was at 102, and we're at 131. So we're pretty far extended on this one. I think this has got to go on the watch list. I wouldn't buy this right now. It's a little bit extended. Let's see if it consolidates and forms a base, and then that might be something that works really well. All right. What do you think? What do you think about the robo-advisor at Charles Schwab? You know what? I have not used the robo-advisor at Charles Schwab, so I can't tell you. I typically like to do my own, but I've heard some very good things about it. But mainly, what it's going to do is it's going to move you into a very balanced portfolio, which is good for maintaining capital, but bad for making money. Because in order to make money, you have to concentrate in the very best sectors when they're moving the strongest. So that's kind of what you've got to do when it comes to that. All right, so let's look at the next one, Hassan. Should I buy Tesla? Also Neo now or wait? Okay. Well, with Tesla, I think that the next real buying opportunity, and this is what I'm planning to do, is at about 851, and currently it's getting there. I don't think it's going to break out, but as you can see, there is some resistance right about this level. Oops. There we go. Oops, didn't quite. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But there's a resistance. Let's look at the 60-minute chart. This is Tesla, right here at about 850, as you can see. So I think that you can buy basically at above 850. So my strategy, at least what I'm following, is that I will probably be a buyer for more shares at 851 on a buy stop limit order. Now for Neo's a little bit different. It's a little bit thinner, and it's very strong in the automotive, and I like the automotive group very much. It's number 2 in the automotive group currently. The question is it viable at this point? Right now, Neo has pulled back a little bit. I'm looking at the daily chart. Let's look at the weekly to see. Yeah, but it's very strong. There is some resistance right at about 60. As you can see, there's some resistance on Neo right about 60. But the relative strength is super. It's 99, and we have these nice increasing sales. By the way, Neo has a deal for selling cars in the EU, so it's got a nice distribution. It's in the buy zone right now. It's pulled back a little bit. It does look like it's going to bounce off of this line. So I definitely think that if you wanted to buy Neo, you could definitely buy it here. Let's look at the checklist. 88 out of 9. So I definitely think you can buy Neo at this point. This chart is looking, basically there's a buy point 57.20, and if you were to buy it at 58.44, you would be right in the pivot. And if you'll notice, we have the stock is moving up. You always want to buy a stock as it's moving up. So at least for right now, on the 19th of January, I think you could definitely buy Neo at this level. So I'm going to put Neo down as an alternative. I didn't buy Neo. I bought General Motors, but I bought it at a proper buy point. So, but I definitely think you could buy Neo at this level. I think it's a good, I think you could buy that right now. On Tesla, I think you want to wait until it moves above 851. So that's where I'm looking to buy it. All right, so let's look at this one. Thoughts on DraftKings near term. Let's look at DKNG, DKNG. And by the way, there's another stock out here called Penn National. I want to compare it with the Penn National chart, but let's look at the DraftKings charts. Off a little bit today, but let's look at the weekly chart to see overall. Overall, it's fairly good. It seems to be holding the 50-day line, but it's pulled back a little bit. Still got a 94 relative strength, so that's really strong. It looks as if there is a buy point on a cup with handle at 55.98. It's currently at 51.29. So could you make it? Well, you can. I suspect what you want to do is if there's a reversal at the 40-day line, and that's what I think was going to happen, then you could buy it. Currently, though, you can't buy it at this location. You have to wait until there's a reversal. I think the most likely reversal is going to be at the 40-day line. The 40-day line currently is 48. So if it pulled back below 48 and then it reverses higher, then I think you could buy it. But let's look at Penn National to see if Penn is in a better state. It's essentially in the same business. This was one I think that you might want to consider over DraftKings because it has a better chart, and that is Penn National. Now, it's really kind of extended from its second stage consolidation base at 76.62. It's at 142, up $1.31. But the thing is, I think it's a better stock based on my analysis of the chart. And it is viable probably if it moves above about 105. But they're both watch lists right now. Unfortunately, I wouldn't buy either of them. I would watch list both of them. So, so that said, let's see. Let's go to, this is probably the last question, at least for right now. Let's see. Okay, let's look. What you thought about? Hey Jim, what's your view on BlackBerry BB? PayPal. Let's look at PayPal. That's sort of the last one for today. Thanks for that running content, and that's PYPL. Let's look at PayPal. PayPal is very strong. And PayPal is definitely the one I would probably buy this one. I'm not in it currently. 83 relative strength. That's very, very good for the fintechs. It's 100% checklist, and the ownership is increasing. The question is, where can we buy it? Let's look at the weekly chart. Not a really good place to buy it. The last buy point was at 212. Can we get into it? Unfortunately, well, we technically could buy it at this level, but it's a little bit risky with earnings coming up in 15 days. So here's what I would recommend for PayPal. I think we've got to wait a little bit on PayPal until earnings. So put this on your watch list. Look at it in about 2 weeks, but I do think at that time it is definitely a buy. All right. So thank you very much for everybody. I'll be back tomorrow at 2:30 Central. And of course, if you're watching me on TikTok and you want to see the show, it'll be on it'll be on YouTube in about 30 minutes. The recap of it, so all the charts and everything. Just go to my link. Just go to my profile and then hit the link, and then you'll see a menu, and you'll be able to do that. Also, I recommend if you're interested in CAN-SLIM training and the CAN-SLIM method, taking a look at the book, How to Make Money in Stocks and Winning System, Good Times or Bad. It's available. It's available off of my my link from TikTok, and also on the website at www.Dallas Trading Floor. So until tomorrow, everybody, happy trading.